This land we inhabit is alive, alive with the spirits of our ancestors, the animals, the water, and the earth, and sometimes even stranger things. Join us as we learn to communicate with them and discover what they can teach us. Welcome to Midwest Spirits.
Welcome back, everybody. So, I'm going to ask you all to indulge me. And that's horrible because I already feel guilty as fuck for not being organized and spending too much fucking time on trying to shoot it rather than experience. So I do apologize for that, and we will try to. I will try to have a better balance next time. By the way, folks, we're talking about our visit to the Fowler Theater in Fowler, Indiana, the reportedly haunted Fowler Theater, which we spent Saturday night at for a good 5 hours, and I fucked around for a good part of that. And the reason I want you to indulge me now is because I feel like that experience completely changed me. And that's weird because not a whole lot happened. Not a whole lot happened. But that experience, for some reason, and I don't even know why. Well, okay, there were reasons why, but you always have doubt. You always have doubt, and now I feel like I could trust my feelings more. I could trust my feelings more. So now I have to ask you guys if what I'm feeling, if you guys felt the same thing. I'm going to ask you a couple questions. First off, I felt like, yes, there were spirits of the dead there, but we scared the shit out of them. I see nodding.
Yeah, no, honestly, it just seemed to be as strange of an event to them in their perspective as it must have been for us.
Yeah, we were definitely like a little bit too weird for these nice corn-fed Hoosier ghosts. Like, like we all have our own particular charisma roles and track records with different groups of people in life. And I think in death too, like you're going to mesh better with different settings. And I think, yeah, we weirded them out just a little bit.
Yeah, we'd like to do a ritual to get things started up. And I felt like, after all the frustration and disorganization and all the anxiety I put into filming the damn ritual and going up to do it, I let it all out. And I think it was, it was a little too much for them. Go ahead.
I agree that whatever the people who run the show, who the people they talk to, Danny and possibly Lascos, whoever else, I think that while we may not have connected to them, I feel we connected to something.
Oh yeah. I felt like they were there, but they were hiding.
Yeah, because I mean, Nora, if she is able to join us a little bit, she could tell you about our only thing that we ever connected to the people were Nora's tarot reading, in my opinion.
Okay.
Because Nora did a tarot reading that was basically it seemed to be specifically to a man and woman who was a big part of that theater. So
Okay, so there's another thing. Definitely different between the lobby and the auditorium. You guys feel that way?
yes.
You're muted, Marty.
Yeah, I think there was a difference between those different areas. But also that's why I'm not like, I feel like this was a great place to test ourselves and like get our bearings because it was a very small facility. Like we couldn't get lost. We couldn't fall down a flight of unknown stairs,
It was
right? Like
extremely intimate.
yeah,
Yes.
which was super
Yeah.
nice. Like, and so yeah, like you could kind of feel more clearly like the differences between the different areas, and I liked that we got to spend time in all the different areas. Like I was a little worried we were going to not be able to fill the full allotted time, and I think we did it pretty nicely. Like I know we felt a little bit like hurried wrapping up, but honestly, like that's everything, right? Like it's every
Yeah.
production ever. Yeah, but I liked the small scale. It felt very manageable.
The actual theater house, not the lobby, not the service area, but the house where the action happened, that felt a lot more liminal and sort of non-place-y to me than the lobby, because obviously, like, say situationally, you're going to the movies. Technically, you're really only going to the lobby as a means to see the movie, right? Once you're in where the show actually happens, you're in a completely different place, at least mentally, you know? And I think that sense of place or sense of non-place like disparity really helped and hindered our ability to uh, collect data, as it were.
Nora's with us. Hi, Nora.
Hey.
Hello. I apologize for being late. It's been a stressful day.
No worries, no worries. I'm going to ask you the first question I asked these guys. So, do you feel like that, yes, there were spirits of the dead there, but they were scared of us?
I hesitate to use the terminology of scared of us. I would say hesitant to speak to us. Do I feel that there were spirits there? Yes. I don't know that I connected with any human spirits there. I definitely feel like I connected with the spirit of the theater itself. You know, to anyone who's listening, you know, places do frequently manifest spirits of their own. Your home has its own spirit too. But in the tarot reading that I did, and Marianne can corroborate this as she was with me when we did it, it definitely felt like the tarot reading was pointing towards Dick and his wife, and maybe some turmoil, maybe some turmoil that went on between them with the theater itself, or between them relationship-wise, because I pulled the Queen of Pentacles reversed, the King of Pentacles reversed, and then the Three of Swords upright, which in Rider Waite, you know, the Three of Swords is the heart with the three swords going through it. So I got the very real sense that there was some kind of turmoil with them, if it was pointing towards Dick and his wife, which did we ever find out what Dick's wife's name is?
Nope.
Okay.
Nothing.
Because I know that when Marianne and Cambria were in the spirit box, a couple women's names were said. But I don't know if any of those were correspondent to.
I know I have it in the newspaper clippings that I have. I haven't read it in a while, and I'd have to go looking for it.
Right. But so there was one instance while we were there earlier where we were all in the main theater, and I looked back. So I don't know if anyone's described how the place is shaped, but when you're in the main theater, there are two entrances. If the screen is behind you and you're looking towards the exits, there's a doorway on the left and on the right. We were on the right side. I looked up the hallway towards the right side, and I swear I saw someone pass through the hallway going into the room where the girl who was facilitating our stay was, and the stairs up to the upper viewing area. But it was like that kind of weird ephemeral, seeing somebody like they were there, but out of the corner of your eye, they appeared very fast and kind of transparent. It was that kind of thing. I can't say whether or not I actually saw anything, but like, I was wide awake. I didn't have a ton of caffeine in my system yet. There wasn't anything in the atmosphere making us loopy as far as we know. So as for external stimuli that could have been causing it, I don't know. But I thought I saw someone pass across the hallway. And it did appear like they were wearing, like, the thing that I can honestly say that I felt like I saw of their outfit was mostly the lower body. I definitely saw slacks and like dress shoes.
Okay. I still get to go over the EVPs and stuff like that, so we don't know if there's anything there. All I can say is I did not personally hear or see anything while I was there, but I definitely felt things.
What kind of things did you feel?
I've been dominating this, so I'm gonna let other people talk about their experiences and what their summation is. Mary.
What do you mean, like overall, or?
Yeah. Like, what about the experience, did you get out of it that was maybe unexpected?
I think the surprising thing was I was intentionally trying to see if there was a spirit of the theater as a macro kind of spirit holding and attracting micro spirits. And the weird thing was, when you're doing tarot as a divination tool, sometimes it really surprises you. I drew the Little Mermaid card.
Yeah.
And, well, the Little Mermaid was playing at that theater that night. So it was really weird synchronicity for me to have that kind of, like, it almost felt like a boom. Like, yep, I'm what you think I am, but that doesn't mean that I'm going to connect directly to you. It's just more like an affirmation of, yes, I exist. So I don't think that they were the only things really listening to us, though. I think that we kind of connected with something else that has nothing to do with the theater.
Cambria,
yeah. Go ahead.
What did you experience that was unexpected?
What did I experience that was unexpected? I guess it was a sense of synesthesia about particular events that could take place in a theater, like at various points over the night. So I described to Marianne and Nora at one point, I had just stood in the back of the theater, blindfolded for a bit, just to get a feel for the place and replicate it mentally, because it's an exercise I do to, like, I guess, see what stands out to me when I think back on a space. Okay, what's a particular detail I want to revisit later? It's the thing I remember most clearly in that mental mapping. And in that mental mapping, I experienced sensations I otherwise wouldn't, which is like being squeezed in, like imagine you're the littlest sibling in a big family and you're squeezed in to one of the rows together. Everybody's still got their winter coats on. It's sometime in November, maybe December, and everything smells a little bit sweet, and you're watching a movie as a family, or uh, you're the one that has to clean up the stick on the floor, and the sensation of mixing together a chemical with water in a bucket and putting your mop in there before walking along the aisle one one night after the next, just like little mundanities that ultimately connect to the stuff that makes places like that an ineffable part of human heritage. It's that combination of experiences, and to have at least imagined what it had felt like in that, visceral detail, I was really grateful for.
Yeah, I remember you saying that. Yep.
Yeah. And I think some of that was because it was just so beautiful. It's just such a beautiful place. You cannot not be impressed by it.
Yeah, it was such a prototypical Art Deco early 20th century theater, right? The kind of aesthetic that would dominate the classic theater vibe for the century.
Yeah. Yeah. Marty, what was unexpected for you?
I think I was surprised that we didn't get at least one sort of bellwether big EVP sound step scene thing, like with the amount of woo woo experience we all have. Yeah, like it was kind of notable how quiet the place was, and like we experienced that with the spirit box of like something is different than our usual baseline. And I think I was definitely amused by the guide purported that one closet was just like had a yucky feeling,
The
like
bad
a
vibes
uncomfortable
closet.
bad vibes, right? And when we were up there, I opened it and I was just like, yeah, bad vibes. Like we were in pure darkness too. Like I couldn't even see inside the closet. I just opened the closet and went, yeah, bad vibes,
And
just
somehow
closed it
it
back up.
felt darker
And
than
we
the
were
rest
both
of the
just like,
room.
yeah, no. So that was like the one, like, oh yeah, like you purport this, I also back up your evidence, like a bad vibes closet. But so many closets can be a bad vibes closet.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely got a sense in the theater portion of Cambria and I both grew up in the classical music scene, with our parents being musicians and being like behind stage a whole lot. And there's like a definite sense of like you are there at the very end of the evening and everyone is cleared out and everyone is torn down and you're putting your instruments in the cases and everyone's taking off their makeup and they're like, let's go, like we're gonna go get dinner. It's 2 a.m. The bars are closing. Come on. And like I kind of got that feeling almost from Summer, please.
You kind of made me nostalgic for a second there.
Like I got when I sat backstage, that was the feeling I got of like, come on guys, pack it up. Like the show is done, like that was really the sensation I got. So
the movie's over, kid.
Oh
exactly,
my god! And the very specific upholstery that was on chairs in the backstages of proscenium theaters in the late 90s. Yeah.
Nice.
Nora, what was unexpected?
Well, obviously the spirit box session was probably the most unexpected thing for me.
Oh yeah, we're gonna get to that.
But I think one of the most unexpected things for me was how much I connected to the spirit of the theater itself. When I was doing my EVP session, and I said this before, I recognized that where the REM pod was sitting was causing it to go off to a certain degree. But there was something about the way it was going off and the energy behind the screen and the vibe that I got, the feeling that I got, like I was being spoken to by something that hadn't had a chance to speak to somebody in a very long time. Because most of the time when you have paranormal investigation groups go into a place, all of these paranormal groups are always looking for spirits of a past human individual. They don't always think about the spirits of the land or the spirits of place. And this theater's been through a lot. Historically speaking, it's been through a lot. So to me, it makes perfect sense that the theater would have its own spirit and personality. And it just felt like sitting back there, I was definitely in some sort of communication with the spirit of that theater. And that's what was most unexpected for me. I wasn't really sure what I was going to experience going in. I was hoping to maybe connect with a, spirit of a deceased person. But, as we've said before, that's not necessarily our goal. And being able to at least even momentarily connect with the spirit of that place was interesting. Also, interestingly enough, some of you guys know this, I work with Persephone to a certain degree. And I got home and I was doing some divination of my own. And I pulled up some information about Persephone, and one of her symbols is corn. And it reminded me of the corn motifs that were on the theater walls. And that whole like agricultural goddess, lady of the land kind of thing, for some reason felt like it connected to an aspect of that investigation for me, even though it was kind of only a loose connection. But
Okay, but think about it this way, right? What is a movie theater if not an allegory of the cave? Right?
that's true.
It is
Yeah.
a man-made cave where you represent images of stories, right? And some of the earliest agricultural goddess cults that we know of practiced their rituals in natural caves as a means of connecting with that particular deity.
And there's an interesting parallel between Calabasas and going to the movie theaters, where it's like you go to this place and you descend into this dark cavern where you experience things and you come out in some measure changed, for good or ill. You come out changed in some way. So there definitely is, and it's not something I ever really thought about until you had said something about it, Cambria, that there is a certain like Eleusinian mystery Calabasas aspect to going into a movie theater.
It's kind of funny, though, in a way, how much it debases that,
I'm
the
sorry, my
supposed
cat
high mystery.
has climbed onto my keyboard and is peering into the camera, and that's why everyone's giggling a little bit.
Honestly,
Yes,
yeah,
that
that was what
that.
that was getting me too.
Cats, they want to be attention.
They do. Okay. So this experience made me want to change the name of the group. Made me feel like, well, we'll still be Midwest Spirits, but like the subtitle should be more like Paranormal and Occult Exploration. I hate it when the Newkirks are always right. And when they're always right. For those who don't know, Greg and Dana Newkirk, along with Connor Randall, Carl Pfeiffer, they just do this thing called the Haunted Objects Podcast, and they made this television series called Hellion. So if you're a party to, okay, yeah, they're not always right. But if you're a party to some of their live streams and some of the stuff, something they talk about is You know, they go on these ghost hunts because people pay them to do it. You know, because people are going to come out, see a bunch, you know, known people on, you know, a ghost hunt. But for the most part, they really have a hard time doing it anymore because every time they go out to look for ghosts, the ultra terrestrials show up. And I feel that's what happened to us. I feel like that's what happened to us. So if this, you know, the spirit box session, and yeah, I've done dozens of spirit box sessions, dozens of them. Some are like, meh, some are very interesting. None of them felt like that one. None of them felt like that one. Especially that moment where I think we all got really fucking cold.
And it was of having all 5 of us together. That was not the first time that we were contacted by entities that we identified before.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely there were, you know, the last time all 5 of us did the spirit box session together where it was a multi-spirit box session. We definitely got some of the same, like, you know, insectoid chittering and other things that were very similar that happened. The room going cold was super bizarre. Like, I've been in situations where there's like a sudden cold spot. Very rarely have I been in a situation, other than one other time, where the location where I was at, you could feel the temperature just drop. And the interesting thing about that is the only other time that I ever experienced this, and Marty and Cambria, both of you were there for that as well, is several years ago when we were at Indie Pagan Pride together and we did the ritual with Crossroads to call in the autumn. And at the crescendo of that ritual, the temperature dropped palpably. And it was very strange, like, you know, being in that situation. And there was no eerie feeling to it other than the knowledge that, oh, the temperature just dropped and we're getting weird messages from something we can't explain.
Yeah. That spirit box session, I felt like we contacted something larger than the Fowler Theater. But maybe still indigenous. It's just
Indigenous to Indiana or the area? What do you mean by indigenous?
Indiana, possibly more localized.
Okay.
I definitely felt the urge to picture the surroundings peeling away and almost going backwards in time. And I felt a pulling at my feet towards the earth. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
You said as much before the spirit box too, that you got that vibe, like you were being pulled back into a time. I remember you having that conversation with Nora and I don't know if you remember having that conversation, but
Here's my vibe. Driving into Fowler was gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. Like the sky had been painted for us. But seeing, if you really look at it, and all the windmills and the farms and the fields, and all of that was prairie. All of that was prairie. And it's all gone now. It's all gone. It's all been plowed under. It's, you know, literally scarring the land for miles and miles around. And I don't think it's particularly happy about it. That was my take.
Yeah, I don't think so either. And we talked about this in person, but when we were at the library, when we did our like historical, like we're going to do research in a library because we're the Scoobies from Buffy kind of thing.
That was another one of my bad ideas. Go on.
It wasn't a bad idea. It created an interesting correspondence because during the mirror scrying, I kept seeing what I thought was woodland, but now I'm wondering if what I was seeing was just like sparse trees, brush, and some field. Because I kept getting this imagery of we need to go out into the surrounding area. We need to go out into the fields or trees or something, some area outside in Fowler that had you know that there was some correspondence to there was connection there with us yet again being told that we need to go out into the remote places and make contact with something.
Yeah. How do you guys feel about camping? Anyway,
I was about to suggest actually that there's like a haunted cabin in one of the forests in southern Indiana, and I've considered renting that and camping there overnight in the
yeah.
middle of the forest to see what happens. Yeah, be a fun investigation. It's literally like a one-room cabin with
Where
like,
at?
oh, I'll have to look it up again, but it's near Brown County.
Okay.
Brown County's
Yeah.
nice.
Is it or is
Yeah.
it not that idea that you had once about camping near decommissioned mine shafts?
Ooh, that's
Different, I
spooky.
think. Yeah. There's also an abandoned theme park on the banks
yeah,
of the
Rose
river down in
Park,
southern
yeah.
Indiana. Yeah. and
Rose
I've
Island,
always thought-
rather. Yeah.
I've always thought that would be really, really wild to go camping at.
Okay. So this brings me round to what's plaguing me, what is in my head. Where do we go from here? Where do we go from here? I mean, what are we looking for now?
Well, I know that a couple people have suggested cemeteries, and there are a few of them around here that are notoriously haunted. Whatever that means to us may be different than what it means to the people who claim the haunting. But I would be up for that because most cemeteries are open to the public during the day. So, in freedom of religion, we can do what we want as far as, as long as we're not killing babies.
I don't know that I necessarily feel like we're going to find what we're looking for in cemeteries. I mean, we can absolutely investigate them, but I feel like if we're going to follow the instruction, even the loose instructions that we've been given, I think we need to find these kind of far-flung remote places and see what we can define in those spots. I'm sure we could probably do some sort of investigating in cemeteries and stuff like that. That's definitely a possibility. It's just the vibe that I get is that we need to go out somewhere farther away.
Yeah, if I could actually put an allegory to that, Nora, it's like trying to figure out why an alcoholic drinks and assuming it's because of the taste of the liquor and not because of something else. A spirit won't be automatically attached to their final resting place just because that's where their grave happens to be.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
all about the journey that got them there.
I almost feel like what we're being led to look into, and this is going to sound real woo-woo and everything like that, but I almost feel like we're kind of being led to establishing like some kind of communication with like the old gods of the land, like the old
Fuck yes.
they've been asleep. They've been asleep for a really long time. We've poked at them, they're poking back, And they're like, if you want to know, come out here and find me.
Yep.
Which is both intriguing and ominous.
What's ominous, and something that I posited to Marty a number of weeks ago, is that I'm of the belief that the dead are easier to contact recently in the past few decades than they have been in a while. And it's unclear to me why that is.
Huh.
I definitely want to, sorry, I was just going to say, I definitely want to explore some alternative forms of divination. I love Spirit Box. I think that we should keep doing it because we are getting results. I definitely want to explore maybe using a spirit board again.
Okay.
We've only really done that like one time, and I know Marty and Cam have done it a few times. I would like to explore the use of a spirit board a bit more. I want to explore maybe seeing what I can do with my divination dice that I've recently gotten. I just want to experiment with a few different kinds of like divination and communication to see what we can get. Also, the other reason that I'm kind of more excited about the idea that we're going to be possibly going to these more remote places to investigate is that really opens up what we can do ritualistically. Far more than if we're like going into a space where we have to rent out or something like that. We can do so much more.
Well, let me say that I agree with all that. But on the other hand, the cemetery thing, okay, so those spirits that are at the cemetery might know something about what we're looking for. And it's not necessarily spirits of the dead, it's cemetery. So we have to look at opportunity. It's easier for us to roll up on the cemetery, on Round Hill or Crown Point, whatever's downtown, and try to talk some spirits there. But going out takes some logistical planning, and I want to do that. Definitely want to do that. How we do that, we'll have to see. I've looked at some houses for rent that are really nice and not horribly expensive, and out in the middle of nowhere, which is something I've done with the Order of Emergent Magi to great success. There's campgrounds all over this state. But I definitely have that agreement that we've contacted something. I feel like I'm finally putting my money where my mouth is, because I've always said, you got to know your local spirits, and we got to try to make peace with the spirits of this land. And maybe now I'm just given that opportunity. I really hope so. So, what experiences at the Fowler were your favorites? Which parts did you think that was neato?
I just really liked being in the space. The space was beautiful, and I realized that spiritually speaking, that has nothing to do with it. But just being in the space, being in a place that has so much history, was very cool. And the energy of the theater itself was just very pleasant and peaceful. That was something that Marianne and I had kind of commented on, was that the energy of the theater was very peaceful and nice. And it stayed that way up until the end, but I don't think that energy that left Marty and I feeling kind of weird and icky had anything to do with the theater. I think that had more to do with the energies that we contacted. And even still, those energies that we contacted weren't necessarily icky in and of themselves. They were just strong and overwhelming.
Yeah, I would agree with that. For me, the most surprising thing was the people that are volunteering to run the theater, how welcoming Sam was, and she was very nice. And we were a weird group of people, I am sure, that has stories for her to tell her folk. But she was still, even at the end, after all our weirdness, she was still really nice, very polite. I never got a weird vibe off of her, like, oh my God, who are these freaks kind of vibe, like we can often get when we go out places with the norms.
I kind of got the sense that she was kind of weird, like we were to a certain degree, just wrapped in small town packaging for sure.
You know she's a paranormal investigator, right?
I yes, but that doesn't make her an occultist.
No, we are a special flavor of weird. But you know, they're in the weird family.
You're
I
yelling
would
out the
consider
word
it a
to
state of fellow traveler hood.
Yeah.
Yes.
Not to mention, visually speaking, all of us are very different people, like appearance wise. And so you have a group of people who are all stylistically diverse and weird on top of it. I think we would, you know, throw caution to the wind anywhere we go, really.
That's true.
Oh my God. It's like a gothic 80s or 90s like diversity PSA.
Yeah.
But I did joke that if you photoshopped the gas prices out of the background and took a picture of the marquee of the theater, since they were playing The Little Mermaid, you would think it was in the 90s, just because small towns across the US have this tendency of being stuck several decades behind the present time, right? At least aesthetically and or bureaucratically. And Fowler is no different in that respect. I mean, their main street looks about the same as you would have expected it 30 years ago, 40, 50 years ago. And there was a certain charm to that. The air was very still. I remember that very distinctly, is the calm in the air around the theater, in spite of the fact that we were within miles and miles and miles of open field, that the air was still.
Yeah, and it's a huge windmill area too. So it was, because last time we were there for the library, we were blown away literally by the wind.
The weather sucked. And this was a very rare stillness in Fowler that, you know, from the few times I've been there. First time I was there, wind kicked up in the afternoon. It was just freaking knocking stuff over left and right. So yeah.
But you have plans to do Hannah House and the Fowler freak out, right?
Yep.
Okay.
We will be at Hannah House Paranormal Day celebration in August and Freak Out at the Fowler in October. Playing videos, meeting people, introducing the paranormal field to our brand of weirdness. Might get a little dicey out there. Okay, so
I just hope it's not windy. I just hope it's not windy like it was last time.
It's October. It's probably going to be windy.
Probably. Maybe we'll need to find a way to like make sure everything's anchored down real good.
Oh yeah, I've already been looking at sandbags.
Wow.
Yeah. Don't bring anything glass next time. Good idea.
For sure. Yeah.
So the commonality between this spirit box session, our last group spirit box session, the insects. Now, Mary, you said that you saw during the Fowler spirit box session, you saw a white beetle.
Yes. Well, a white beetle-like thing. Yeah.
Beetle-like thing.
It will look like a scarab, and I don't know that I classify a scarab as a classic beetle that I would see in Indiana, even though I learned since that there are plenty of beetles that are considered scarabs that are in Indiana.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was definitely white, and there was a ton of them. And I know that last time when we did a group spirit box, other people had insect noise. I've never had continuous insect sounds. It was like insects crawling in my brain, and sometimes it was really fast, like they were feeding frenzy, and other times it was just like they were just sort of leisurely crawling around. But it gave me this white, cold, scarab-like vibe.
Hmm.
And I don't associate bugs with the cold either. So that's
Sure.
and when they got like really anxious and rambunctious, I guess the whole dang room got cold, which Cambria and I didn't know that was going on because we're in a trance-like state.
Right.
The stuff I saw, the stuff I saw during our Gansfeld experiment was also like white bug-like stuff. I don't know.
Interesting.
So they're following us. But they gave me the networking kind of thing, like a networking burrowing under kind of
Mycelial.
yeah. I think we said as much on that night after we got
Yeah.
out.
But
It
do you
felt weird,
think?
but I turned to Cambria in the car and I was like, I think the hurry came through at one point, which is like
Yeah, I was just
my
about to say.
made up OC alien species that does like mycelial stuff, and I was like, I think I contaminated the stream. Like like I don't know. Maybe my alien experiences are bleeding over. Who knows?
That's kind of cool. So you
Yeah.
put those aliens in my brain tanks.
Yeah, I don't know.
What that
But
symbolism means to me is, one thing, they're white, so they look like bones. And also, scarabs not only roll balls of shit, certain scarabs also eat flesh, strip flesh off the bones. So I feel like we tapped into some kind of chthonic, maybe necromantic network. I don't know how to follow it. Shit, next day we came home. I'm driving down the road. I'm driving up Meridian, and there's this old greenhouse shut down now. And I will show you guys this picture later, but sure as shit.
Kepler Institute with their scarab. Yeah, they bought that.
They bought that. They've since bought that greenhouse area as part of their urban farming initiatives.
But yeah, they were like formed by some like cool, I don't know, like 70s Black Panther, like local community liberation folks, and have always had this like solar like beetle sort of logo
so that
aspiration.
Is supposed to be a beetle.
Yes, it is supposed to be
it is a beetle on purpose.
The scarab of the sun. Like you can go talk to those fellas and they'll be like, oh yeah, like that's but it's KHEPRW, I want to say.
Kefra.
Kepra, the Kepra Institute. And they're by Crown Hill Cemetery, actually.
Shit. Okay, so okay. Now it's getting real fucking weird for me. Because so that invocation that I did, the ritual that I did, part of that comes straight from Israel Regarde's Invocation of Thought. And I used to do the whole fucking thing, like pages of it. And I cut it down, and changed it to what I needed. But there are still a few sentences from the original that I've kept, that I've always kept through. And one of them is, I am Magus, Kefra created in the flesh. Because Kefra, is the god of creation, according. I mean, don't let me get started about Egypt. I was just say Kefra's the god.
No,
the
yeah,
god
that's
of creation.
very interesting.
You guys don't need
The other thing
details.
I was going to mention, you said like that occurred the next day after the investigation, but when we were driving home, we got home at like 5:30, and just as we were turning onto our street, Cambry goes, "Look out!" And there's this enormous old black dog shuffling across the intersection
Oh
that like I
wow!
almost hit, and it didn't even care or notice, and it just kept shuffling, and we were like,
Yeah, just like
"Nope,
out for
nope,
a stroll.
going home, thank you." Yeah, like it was just one of those like, well, that was sure
Casual
a
as can be.
weird cap to the night. So
Black
yeah,
dog of the underworld.
yeah, crossing the crossroads straight, I was like, oh, come on, man, like, yeah.
So on a whim, I decided to pull out an oracle deck that I have next to me. It's actually one that Marianne got me, the Woodland Warden deck, just to pull some cards, not necessarily to really delineate the meanings that are written on them. But I pulled a ladybug.
Oh, that's funny.
The Death's Head moth, which is endings or death,
but still another insect.
So a beetle-like thing, a chthonic insectoid thing, and then the spider.
Oh my god!
So the bugs want to talk to us.
Well, that's a sign. I'm gonna have to go to that butterfly thing and get over my revulsion of butterflies.
You guys recall the butterfly wall in Fowler, right?
I do. Yes, It was
Yeah.
hard to miss.
Yeah. It's a lot of insect stuff. Going on. And yeah.
Oh, sorry to interject, but are you aware of the giant mantis of Kokomo, Indiana?
No.
There is a giant steel and aluminum mantis statue in downtown Kokomo, Indiana. I swear on my mother's grave, it is terrific.
Is
Like-
it caked up like the Mothman statue?
A little bit, yeah. Not in the sexy way like the Mothman, just kind of like, oh, that's a healthy insect.
No, that's a freaky thing. Look at that thing.
Yeah.
17-foot tall.
Yeah,
That's a healthy
yeah,
thorax.
it's huge.
Do you know the reason why they have?
I personally do not. I do not. That's where my education on the subject ended.
Huh.
The
Well, that's
scrap
wonderful
artist
you
put
have
it
to do.
together, according to the Kokomo thing that I'm looking at here.
What's that?
Oh, Atlas Obscura's got a thing on it. It's a scrap metal artist put it together.
Do you think the Beach Boys sang that song in order to seal away this ancient power so that way so
anyone
that the citizens of
could.
Kokomo would forever live in peace? Oh man.
No.
I love that it's called the Coco Mantis.
Yeah, it's pretty great though.
It is awesome.
I want to go see it. Can we make a field trip just to go see the Coco Mantis?
I'd
Oh,
love
man.
to. I've got buddies in Kokomo.
We can. That's an easy one.
Yeah, Kokomo is not that far.
All right. So what other things do you want people to know, to look forward to when I figure out how to do a documentary about this? Because this is not what I was fucking expecting at all. So all my plans just went.
Welcome
be-
to Midwest Spirits and Etymology Channel. Entomology? Entomology. Bugs, entomology.
Yes, entomology, which is not the study of ents. You would think, but it's not.
We're going to reach out to the old sleeping bug gods of the land.
I don't know if you're wrong. So yeah, we'll look more into the weirdness. Anyone else have any last thoughts? I think this might be a short one because I'm still in shock, still trying to put things together in my head.
Why was it so shocking? I guess
Yeah, actually, I would like to hear more about that because,
why is
like,
it? Yeah, because
it
you
was
obviously
it was
Yeah.
certainly like challenging, for me, but I don't know about shocking.
Okay, so parts that were not necessarily shocking, but were not what I expected. I expected to walk in this place, do a nice little ghost hunt, say some nice things about their theater, say something about the town. That's what I was expecting to do. That's obviously not what I can do now because it's just too fucking weird. It's just too fucking weird.
okay.
And then I would say that the experience of getting cold, and once again, it's stuff I can prove. I didn't have the presence of mind to whip a thermometer out. But it didn't even feel like a physical cold to me. It felt internal, like a chill, like
I,
when you have a fever.
I also think the shock, because I can't say that I'm necessarily shocked, but I'm definitely bewitched, bothered, and bewildered by something similar to what Jim was talking about earlier, in that this kind of changes the trajectory of what we want to do as Midwest Spirits. Because originally it was more like paranormal investigation. We're going to go into some haunted locations, do some cute divination, some EVP, some spirit box, see what happens, have a good time. And we can still do those things. But I think what Jim is getting at is it's completely changed the trajectory of that to where now it's more like we're in contact with something unexpected, and it's now more of like we are going into a realm of occult experimentation that we weren't expecting to go into.
And so
Yeah.
we are presented with a choice, really. Do we maintain that trajectory of exploration, or do we restrict ourselves and determine that the scope that we were going for has been breached?
Um,
I'm in favor of expansion, personally.
I'm in
Yeah.
favor of expansion as well, expansion and exploration and seeing what else we experience. Because that was really the whole point. I don't think that we as Midwest Spirits were ever meant to convey that we wanted to be conventional ghost hunters, because
Yeah.
I think we've said a few times we don't want to be that.
Yeah, I think if we really do accept that there is such a field as paranormal investigation, not every investigation needs to be inside a building looking for a ghost, right? There's still other
Absolutely.
ways to do a
Absolutely.
paranormal investigation with our consensus reality.
Okay. So I'm gonna go back to the Newkirks again, and something Greg said towards the end of Hellier is like people ask where are my goblins? Where's the thing that's gonna lead me off into this strange world? And I think I found my goblins already. I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting it to take time. I was expecting to be like, you'll do, some haunted houses first, you'll figure some shit out, and eventually you'll find your goblins. Not only that, my goblins are very vague threads that we're pulling on here, I think. But fuck, I want to pull them. I want to pull them. That's for sure. Does anyone else feel that way?
I do. I just, with all this bugginess going on, I guess I would say let's pull threads or webs with caution so we don't get eaten.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I'm all about seeing how far this goes.
Yeah, I'm up for. He and I are already trying to work out the semantics of possibly doing like campground. We're looking for places that we can go that we're not going to get bugged by the cops. And if you rent a campground location, you can park there and wander around, and nobody's going to fuck with you for the most part. There's always crazy people that might be there, but I think we'll be the craziest. Or other types of venues like the cabin that you were talking about, Marty, those kind of things.
Yeah, and I think that one particular cabin would be like it's like a rough hike in, and it's a completely rustic, like one room cabin with a fire. So that would definitely be, I think, like a special occasion. I backpack in, I backpack out. But I think there's tons of really comfy cabins in Indiana with good, like, paved facilities and fresh water, and like there's tons of good easily accessible campgrounds, so we're not going to have to like rough it, because that definitely makes staying up all night investigating more uncomfortable.
There's houses for $185 a night.
Yeah, there you go.
Split it up, and that's not
There's
too bad.
there's tons of really cool Airbnbs, rentals, things all over southern Indiana in that area. So
there are another thing that we need to discuss is Logan and Aaron, babes.
Yes, we will do that after we stop recording this podcast.
Okay. Sorry.
You're fine. You're fine. Well, I guess we could discuss it a little, but yeah, we'll wait. We'll wait till after the podcast. Logan and Aaron are in one of our videos, the one I did at Randolph Asylum recently, which was fun. And I wouldn't mind going back there, because I got to wonder now if these haunted locations are portals.
It's possible.
Maybe I'm not looking for the ghosts that are there, but I'm looking to use their portal. I don't know. That's all stuff that we'll get to, I think, eventually. But it's a lot to think about. I think for our next adventure, maybe we'll pull something off at my house again. Maybe do some more divination, some kind of experiment to give us more guidance.
I would love to play around with those new dice that Australia has there, and I would love to watch the people use spirit board. That's not my bag, but I am willing to watch and learn, and not all divination techniques are going to be something that everybody can use.
All right.
But yeah.
So we'll pull out all our guns and see what we can find out, and then pick something there. So you're saying we're looking the state of Indiana. That's what we're looking at now.
That's where we're at.
The whole thing. Okay. Well, hey, thanks everyone. I think that we're going to call this one. I don't think we're going to do a salty section for this podcast. I don't think we will. I don't think it needs one. But we'll do this again next month. And thank you guys. I'm going to stop the recording now.
Grow and learn with Midwest Spirits as we develop our own paranormal investigation team. Patreon subscribers will receive access to all our videos and podcasts ad-free, access to our private Discord server, watch our recorded online planning meetings for all investigations, special extended cuts of our occult experiments and documentaries, extended cut of the Midwest Spirits podcast, and bonus videos and other content. Help us make paranormal investigation more thoughtful and introspective, not just ghost hunting and jump scares. Join now and until January 1st, 2024. Receive all benefits for just $5 per month. Don't miss your chance to be a part of a new and groundbreaking paranormal team. As always, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time.